We can probably get the front end done.
That's gonna be like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
I'm your boy Nas, and today we're going to be working on something I've been waiting for a while to do. We're going to be installing a 3 to 5 inch lift on the 2022 Razor 1000 XP4. With that said, we've also got some other accessories we have to install in order to correctly install that lift kit. Forged wheel spacers, as well as we're going to figure out some limiting straps for the shocks. We're going to see if we have to weld on some extra parts. I don't think we're going to, but just in case I pick some up, we're also going to groom the beard. Not sure why this comb was sitting on my workbench. Now that I think about it, probably shouldn't put it on my face, sitting next to a welder. I guess there's nothing to unbox. I already did that part, so I didn't save any of the fun stuff for you guys. Sorry about that. Let's go. All right, so something I forgot to do before I actually put it up on jack stands was simply just to measure the ground clearance before, and I want to go ahead and measure it afterwards, obviously, to make sure that we actually have the 3 to 4 inches, maybe 5 inches of extra ground clearance we need. The whole reason that I'm doing this lift isn't just to be obnoxious. I mean, if you think about it, there's really 3 reasons you should be putting a lift on any machine. And that's something like where you need a couple of inches extra ground clearance. If you have a plow mount like this, that's kind of the reason I'm doing this one here. You want to put a little bit bigger tire underneath, which of course is going to give you better contact patches with the ground. And number 3 is going to be obnoxious douchebaggery, which, if I'm being honest, that's the biggest reason why I'm doing this. But I'm telling you it's because I need a couple of inches in the front ground clearance because I got this plow mount. With that fallacy out of the way, so with the plow mount installed, we're sitting at roughly 10.5 inches, just under 15 inches without the plow mount. So that should mitigate this extra 3 inches or so, 4 inches or so that we've lost with this plow mount. With that said, let's just go and get started. I'm trying to learn from mistakes that I've made as a younger man in terms of just starting a project. One of the things that I find most important is to just take account for the parts that come with the pack, just in case there are any missing ones. These baking sheet looking things are one of the best investments you can possibly make. They're only a few bucks at any O'Reilly's or any auto parts store. And I'm telling you, they have saved me time and time again from pieces just rolling off under a tool bench, toolbox, whatever it may be. You wouldn't think it happens that often, but you'd be surprised the amount of times I've grabbed packs, started a project, started it, and come to find out there's missing pieces. Now again, I don't even have instructions for this, so take this with a grain of salt. This is gonna be kind of like trial by fire. First order of action is to unbolt the top portion of the shock, so that way we can go ahead and expose those eyelets for mounting. These chaps, by the way, you have no idea how amazing these are. These are actually invented and patented by a good friend of mine. His name's Paul Landwehr, and he started inventing these pants, these chaps rather, sometime in the early mid-90s, something like that, and he did a fantastic job with them. I can't even begin to express how amazing these pants are. They have knee pads built in, pockets built in, all sorts of that fun stuff. So when it comes to taking off the faceplate of these razors, super simple. It's a matter of what, 6 bolts, something like that, 6 screws. It's gorgeous. Okay, so while we watch me struggle with this jack, this is the moment I realized this is going to take a lot longer than I initially anticipated. So coming up next, I did bring my brother in. So with that said, big shout out to my brother Jesus. We brought in air support. My brother Jesus. We can probably get this, the front end done.
That's gonna be like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Right there. Hey, let me grab this fucking bolt over here. What do you want this bolt? You want to stick it in your hole?
Oh, right there.
Right
yeah.
in your ham socket.
And then I need a washer.
You're gonna love my nuts.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
Right in there, Tommy.
You know what though? Look at this. Look how loose and goose it is.
Maybe that's where the shit goes in between there. You know what I'm saying?
washer's
Let's take that
between-
wash off and then put it right there.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, f***. 20 minutes.
Yeah. Put that washer between her cheeks. Where's that space? If you've never done anything like this, that's right.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Should we be putting on that second piece? Okay, so clearly starting to get the picture. This is a lot more difficult than we anticipated, but like true soldiers of the shop, we pressed on, and I gotta say, I was happy with the end result. We don't need to label nothing. Give us a little vasectomy. Oh, there it is. So after a couple of fog machine breaks and a lot of standing around and talking about how we could probably figure this out in
It's gonna be like 20 minutes.
the last, it was most definitely not 20 minutes. I do not suggest you use ratchet straps on your shocks, whether it be on a side-by-side or a vehicle. However, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So for the love of God, leave it to the professionals. Do not do this at home.
You said you fisted it like that. I bet these are comfortable on the ground.
Nice catch.
Testing his durability.
Ooh.
Someone who's installed this before is like, you guys are doing so much extra stuff that you don't have to do.
Probably 20 minutes.
Yeah. So whoever thought of being like, we should use the same fastener on every. What are we talking about? I think it's got contact high. Car companies should do whatever. Whoever thought about using the same size fasteners, why would they do that?
Oh my
Why would
God.
they do that, dude?
Call it a hug because it rhymes with growth. Oh snap! That's sick. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Think you get away. Come and hit you with the business.
Now, if you recall earlier, I told you do not use ratchet straps, and of course, that is not what we are doing. We are absolutely not using ratchet straps. We have all the correct tools, all the correct clamps, and nothing to worry about, nothing to see, nothing to behold. Now, all jokes aside, this was a really difficult install for the rear mounting points. The bracket that you see that's attached to the shock actually had to be installed while the bed was up and over off the actual frame itself. I do highly recommend doing this install with another person, especially for that rear section. Chickens, what are you guys doing? Come on now. Come on now. Get out of here. Come on. Come on now.
20 minutes.
Yeah. So this is taking a lot more fabrication than I thought, even if it's just little stuff. It's things that the average Amazon buyer, I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be willing to do. So we'll go ahead and keep that in back of y'all's mind. So the issue I'm running into right now is the length of this bolt here that's supposed to be able to essentially work with these limit straps isn't quite long enough. So instead of actually having to order new bolts or get new bolts, what I'm gonna do is just Dremel about a 1/4 inch off of this spacer. That way we'll be able to stick that limit strap on there without any issues. Let's go and get started. So now that I'm looking back on this, there's a couple of different ways I could have did this differently. If I would have just used a hacksaw or just a bandsaw, it would have been that much easier without having to actually sand the edges. It does get kind of rough, especially on the grinder, and then pre-painting it would be that much easier. Now, just like any other nut or bolt on your machine, you're going to want to make sure everything is torqued to spec. This specific set of straps, I believe, is set around 52 foot-pounds of torque. In terms of this rear portion, I did do this rear section myself on the passenger side. It was not easy. It was not a good time. It was just a bitch and a half to get everything in place and where it needed to be. Although once I did it the first time, this side was a little bit easier. Again, all these bolts, all to torque spec. I don't remember what they were. I do remember them being higher than I thought they would be, especially for the grade of the bolt. I know that they're automotive grade, but they didn't feel fantastic. And I know a lot of you guys who've built stuff like this before know what I'm talking about. Red thread locker on these spacers are key. You want to make sure they stay safe, hand tighten them first, then go ahead and use your impact, and then of course your torque wrench. Side note, I can't stand this roll cage on these razors. I can't wait to either pick up a custom one or simply just drop the rear end by like 5 or 6 inches. So it's been a couple of months since I actually installed the lift kit. I wanted to wait at least until we had some nicer weather to give it a test, an actual test. I'm ready. I've been waiting for it for a while. First, once that lift was on here, I gotta say that it was a little bit, it took a little bit getting used to. especially with a higher center of gravity. It is about time we have a nice day like this. Now it's right about here, some dude on a dirt bike I've never met in my entire life pops out of nowhere on a pit bike, starts to follow my ass. So right there, going up on the curb, I was hitting that front plow plate on the curb when it was frozen just a couple months ago. Definite difference already. I'm testing out a lift I did. I want to see about that. There's a little ditch inside these woods somewhere around here.
If you're trying to test that out, there's mud over there. Or if you can...
So this is kind of where I wanted to hit. Okay, so last time I was down here, I was hitting that front end of that nose just a little bit. The GoPro effect on this section is just ridiculous. You guys can't tell, but this is like a 15-foot drop from the top of that ridge to the bottom of the ditch and then back up. Right here, same thing, probably between 12 and 15 foot, straight up, and it doesn't look like it at all. All right, guys, so this is the part that I've always hung up on, going up this small little ridge line. Right here, I'd be hitting the plow plate without any problems, so just hitting it. And after the lift, after adding a few inches to it, no problems at all. Here we go. Final summation is this. The 3 to 5 inch lift I picked up off Amazon for 150 bucks is literally $110 less than it is on Super ATV. Albeit it's not the same brand, which is just fine by me. Both are made from the same materials, both do the exact same thing. Now something I do want to mention about this lift in particular, it says 3 to 5 inch lift. It really means a 3 inch lift in the back and or a 3 to 5 inch in the front. I couldn't figure out how it would be adjustable in the rear section. A couple of things I want to touch on. If you do end up by going with the spacer version, they do squeak. I do have a couple of friends with that lift kit with the spacer pucks on the springs. It's actually more difficult to install that version of this kit. With that said, guys, all the links for the products seen in this video are in the description. If you use those affiliate links, it will help me out on the channel. With that said, guys, thanks for spending time with me in the shop. I'm out. All right, so in conclusion, what do you think of the lift?
I'm agree with you. It does feel a little stiff. Almost as stiff as my on a good day.
I would have absolutely had my brother stay the whole weekend because it was a for the next 4 days by myself. Sugalamink. Did it work? We're some highfalutin rednecks in this mother.